Good, how are you?
Good.
So, what are your views on the death penalty?
I disagree with it completely.
Why do you disagree with it?
Uh, well, there's a few reasons. One, first off, being I don't think um, the state, the institution of the state, should ever be in control of someone's life or death, um, regardless of what they did. Um, Secondly, there's always a risk of, putting an innocent person to death, which is just
Hmm.
no, that's just completely unacceptable. But I don't think there's any crime worthy of more death. If somebody kills somebody, I don't think it's solving any issue to kill the person who killed somebody. And third, it doesn't work. It clearly doesn't work because they've had the death penalty for how long, and people continue to commit the same crimes repeatedly over and over again with no fear for the death penalty stopping them. So I don't think it works, and I don't think it's fair, and I definitely don't think the state should be in control of people's lives.
Okay. Is your point on how that you disagree that the state should be in control of somebody's life?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I agree with that, but also to an extent, I think that there are certain crimes that are, I guess, too bad for jail. Like if you kill like five people, I think that you should be put to death.
But how does that in any way solve any problem or do anything? It doesn't bring those people back, and it certainly doesn't work towards making us better as a society.
True, but when if you kill five people,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many parents. 10? Yeah, 10 parents. That kind of like lost a child, not including brothers or sisters.
Right.
That's kind of like justice for them. Because when, even though like those parents that lost that child
Uh huh.
is like no longer with them, the killer is still able to
But
live their life,
but
a
the kill.
poor life.
What about the killer's parents? Now we're making it 12 instead of 10.
True. But you have to see from the killer's parents' point of view, you know, why should my son be allowed to get away with that? It is their son, but
Right.
their son is obviously over the age of 18, so that they should be able
Yeah.
to take the responsibilities that they committed.
But some people are sick, and I don't think I think there's always a chance, no matter how terrible a person is, no matter how sick or twisted or evil they may be. I think there's always a chance to save people and fix them. I think everybody has that in them somewhere that they could be brought back from that place, and I think everybody has the opportunity. I think they should, um, and I just don't think it works. I think it's like a biblical revenge thing. Like we need to, it's like I don't know. To me, it seems completely nuts that the state would be in control of something like that. They get to decide, um, somebody living or dying. To me, it's murder on their part as well. Even though the person is not a good person, um, I don't think they deserve to be killed.
Right. So what about um like when there are multiple cases like killing a police officer? Because that's a capital crime in my state. I live in Virginia. And so I don't know if you know what a capital crime is, but a
Yeah,
capital crime is like the death penalty, like
yeah, yeah.
right. And
I don't think it should be any different if you kill one person compared to killing a police officer. I think that's ridiculous.
right.
Because why? Why would that make it any different?
Well, I think the difference is that people see like a police officer is there to protect you, whether however you view police officers, like that's their ultimate goal is to protect people in their
It's
communities that they serve.
They're still just people.
They are people.
That means
But,
we're undervaluing other people's lives because they're not cops. That's silly to me. It makes no sense.
well, there's a difference. You don't protect people the way cops do. Would you say that?
Yeah, but it's also I don't get paid to do it either.
True,
So
but you're not sacrificing your life to protect somebody else's life.
no, I'm not.
So,
But
how many lives could that cop have saved?
I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. It's
Why?
not. That's irrelevant to me. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make them any more special than any other person. Nobody's special in my eyes. We're all equal. I don't think they're special. I think they do their job. I appreciate them if they do their job well. I respect ones that do what they're supposed to do, which there are plenty of. But I don't think, I don't think they should get special treatment because they do their job.
Right.
I don't think that's fair at all. I do my job too. My job, doesn't have the same amount of danger in it, but I also don't get paid as well as they do. So,
well, police officers aren't paid as well as you might.
Oh, yes, they are. Oh, yes,
they get bonuses.
They get big money and big time benefits, and they have all this other nonsense that we're talking about now, all this quote unquote special treatment and respect and, this and that comes along with it. And they get the power of the badge and the gun, which a lot of them don't deserve. So
how do you feel, even like those kind of people that take up space in jails, because our jails are very overpopulated?
Yeah, but that's the doing of our own system. That's the way it's set up. Prison's a business in this country. It's a business.
To an extent.
No, not to
some
an extent.
Prisons are 100%. Business.
100%. Our prison system is a business, and it's been that way for a very, very long time. That's why nonviolent drug offenders take up, I would say, I don't know percentages off the top of my head, but the majority of people in prison today are nonviolent drug offenders who shouldn't be there, who are serving mandatory minimum sentences for crimes that, whether they committed or not, had no effect on anyone's lives except their own. And to me, that's just, it's obvious that all they're doing is making money off of these people.
But those won't be subjected to the death penalty.
No, they won't. But you said there's people taking up space in prison.
True.
And right, and it's because that's what the system wants. That's the way it's set up.
In some states, yes. But in other states, like where Colorado is, with the legalization of marijuana, there are still laws that if you break, you should go to jail. No matter how strict or lenient laws are.
Should go to jail for what? What do you think you should go to jail for? If I do cocaine, I should go to jail.
Is that illegal?
Yeah, it's illegal.
Then you should go to jail.
You should go to jail because you do a drug. You affect your own body.
You should go to jail if you break the law.
Well, no. Well, but is it not a silly law?
I'm not.
Well, I'm asking
what a silly law is.
What do you think? Do you agree with that law? Do you think that the state should have control over what people do with their own bodies?
Do I agree with drug abuse?
No. It's not what I asked.
I mean, that's kind of what you're asking.
No, it's not.
The situation that you asked was...
I don't ask if you agree with drug abuse. I'm not saying, do you want to do drugs? I don't do drugs. I'm saying, if somebody wants to do drugs, do you think the state should legislate that into being something where they have to go to prison for it because of a choice that they made? Do you agree with that?
If they break the law, then they should go to jail, whether they affect their own body or other people's body.
You're missing the point.
Break the law. No, you're kind of missing the point. If you think about it.
I'm not missing the point.
You're not letting
I'm making the point. The point is, the law is ridiculous. The fact
in your opinion.
Well, yeah, in my opinion, but in reality, if you think about it, you mean to tell me I can't do something I want to do, regardless of what it's going to do to me? It's me. I get to make decisions for me, nobody else. Me.
Well, that also kind of conflicts with the parents, that if someone does cocaine and they get in a car, I don't know if you know what cocaine does, but it makes you very hyper, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get in a car, that's a dangerous situation. Cocaine is not the same as marijuana. I've seen a study that you actually drive slower while you are.
Absolutely. Listen, I used to smoke a lot of pot, man. I know the differences. I know what's going on, and I know that. Yes, okay, they shouldn't be under the influence while driving. That's more serious. That's dangerous. That puts other people at risk. What I'm saying is, how many people are out there who do their own thing? Okay, forget about Colorado. Colorado is doing the right thing with marijuana. That's the way it should be. Look how much money they're making off of it. They're making way more than the prison system makes. But if I do my own thing in the privacy of my own home, even to the extent of killing myself, if I'm that stupid, and that's my prerogative, I should be allowed to do that. And I shouldn't have to go to jail if I get caught doing it because, they need to make a little money off of me. They got to take their little piece of the action. That's why That's why this whole war on drugs nonsense. That's why this whole mandatory minimum sentencing for drug offenders. It's a joke. They don't want drugs off the street. They want more drugs on the street. The government's the one that puts the drugs on the street in the first place. You don't think these drugs don't come across the border by accident without them knowing about it? They know. They let them in.
I think we've gotten off topic.
Yeah, we have a topic. You're right. But it's a sidebar that goes along with it. But okay, we can go back to the original.
So going back to the point that if there are 5 killers or whatever, all taking up a specific cell,
right,
then that cell could be used for other things that are less punishable to an extent. As in, if 5 people rape and kill a child,
right,
in my opinion, they should not be allowed or have the right to live. Because if you kind of like go with the psychology of that child's going to be disturbed and probably a little messed up for the rest of his life.
What do you think is going to happen to
his friends? What?
The child's going to do exactly what was done to him. It's going to continue the cycle. That's what always happens. All these abusers and these people who are murderers and child abusers and sexual offenders, they were all abused as children. That's the way it starts. It doesn't just come up out of nowhere. It's because it's happened to them when they were kids and they never got the help they deserved. And then when they do commit the offense, they still don't get the help they deserve. They go to jail and they sit in a cage and look at a wall, and nothing ever gets fixed because it's just a cycle.
So why should they be allowed to sit in that wall or that cage with looking at a wall?
They shouldn't. They should be treated like a medical illness that it is.
But it's not really an illness. It's more of a problem to an extent.
No, it's a psychological illness.
Yes.
People are affected when they're children. They carry it to adulthood. It's been proven many times.
So why should those people that commit those crimes, because all abusers have been abused, but not everyone that has been abused turn out to be abusers, because most of abusers are men and most of the abusees, I guess that's a word, are women. And you don't see a lot of women becoming abusers.
Wait a minute. Where did you get that from?
You said that, it's a cycle. And that you said if you are abused, you...
Where did you get the stat that the people abused are women? I don't think that's true. I find that very hard to believe.
What do you mean you find it hard to believe?
I mean, I don't think you're right. I think you're wrong.
But, do you have, a fact on that, or?
No, but neither do you. You just said it, so I think you're wrong.
Hold on, let me get...
If you look up, just don't throw...
So I'm not allowed to back up my point?
Whatever you want, but if you look up sexual assault... That's a very flaky thing. You're definitely gonna come back with more women on that, but that's not what I'm talking about.
So if I Google something that proves my point, I can't do that because it will prove me wrong.
But you know what they call sexual assault these days, right?
In the eyes of the law, yeah.
Excuse me?
In the eyes of the law, yeah.
In the eyes of the law, sexual assault these days could be me going up to a woman and asking her out on a date. That's an unwanted advance. If she decides that she really felt offended by that, I could actually be taken up on charges. That happens now.
I wasn't going to Google that.
What?
I'm not going to Google that because you aren't going to go to death for that.
Okay. So
the main topic of this is the death penalty.
The death penalty.
Why would you be put to death for that?
Serial abusers are put to death. People who abuse children, it happens, man. People in Texas, oh boy, they put everybody to death in Texas.
Okay.
Think so? You want to look it up?
I think they've had 100 executions in Texas in 2016.
How many?
100.
You don't think that's too many?
I mean, if you commit a capital offense, then...
Yeah, but who gets to decide what a capital offense is?
The law, the society.
Law. No. We get to decide.
Obviously, the society creates the laws.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so who creates the laws?
The politicians create the laws.
And where do they come from?
Where do they come from?
Yes.
Their heads. They're empty, dopey heads. That's where the politicians get the laws from.
So the politicians come from their own heads.
No, the politicians themselves, we stupidly vote them in like retards that we are.
Where do they get elected from?
What do you mean?
Where do they have to come from somewhere? So where do they come from?
Come from America.
They come from society.
Yeah, but one guy doesn't represent my values. Just because everybody else decided to pick him doesn't mean that he represents me.
So if you take a state like Texas, where everyone seems to have the same kind of values, granting everyone in Texas have the same exact Republican values, but if everyone has those values and go, hey, rape's not okay. In that little town, rape's not going to be okay because that's what the society deems okay or not.
Don't you think we'd be better?
The society does create the laws.
Don't you think we'd be better off just policing it ourselves without all this extra nonsense? Don't you think? No?
No.
Well, I mean, listen.
I feel as if people do not have the incentive to make things correct and protect the laws, then nothing will get done.
Oh, that is.
Have you ever committed a crime?
True.
Or have you ever reported a crime?
Excuse me?
Have you ever reported a crime?
Have I ever reported a crime? I don't think so, no.
Proves the point. That's why you can't really
prove. No crime has ever been committed against me.
Well, not just you, but against other people. I mean, if you police a crime, you're not just protecting yourself. As a police officer, you protect your community.
No. Not always, dude. Come on now.
So police officers just protect themselves?
No, there's a lot of places where there's really not any crime to be spoken about. There's a lot of places like that. The only crimes, quote unquote, that we have where I live is traffic tickets and, money makers. There's no real crime here. There's nothing going on. There's nothing going on here. We don't have crime. But yet there's tons of cops driving around giving everybody tickets and a hard time every day. Make money. If somebody wants to do drugs in their house around my town, I don't really care. But the cops do because they're going to make money off of that guy.
See, that's like our environment's different. Like I grew up outside. I live just outside of Richmond.
Where do you live?
Just outside of Richmond.
Okay.
Virginia.
Okay.
And that's not a very nice place.
It's a bad area.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Basically, the entire city is a bad area.
I believe you.
So, if people don't police themselves, Richmond's going to be a shithole. In the 80s, Richmond was one of the most dangerous cities in America.
But let me ask you a question. What has changed? Has it gotten better?
Yes.
And why has it gotten better?
Because the way the police officers handle each of the situations, and the mayors and the governors of our state have made an effort to deplete the crime in the area.
Now, what type of crime is most prevalent there, would you say? Is it like
I don't know exactly. I don't know the numbers.
No,
I know.
I'm not asking exactly, but you lived there. You got a pretty good idea. Do you hear a lot of violent stuff going on, or is it a lot more drug stuff going on?
Well, in the 80s, there used to be a lot of violence and drugs, but since the time has come, violence is down a little bit. I don't know about drug offenses, but drugs can be from marijuana, which people have their own opinions on marijuana, or it could be heroin.
Right.
In Maine and the Northeast, heroin's a very large epidemic that affects basically the entire communities and families and whatnot.
New Jersey. I live in New Jersey. We have a major heroin issue in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect me ever, and it never will, because I just don't do it.
Right.
I don't need the cops to go. I don't need the cops for anything, to be perfectly honest with you. Unless it's all out anarchy in the streets. And then what do you think is going to happen when that happens? The cops aren't going to be there to help you. They're going to be home protecting their own family.
Right.
Right. So all I'm saying is I know we keep getting off track a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I know. But all I'm saying is our government, okay, it's not right that a group of many gets to decide the fate of individuals, in my eyes. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. You're born into this life. You get one shot at it. How is it fair to let other people decide what you do with it, regardless of what they think of what you do with it? I don't think it's right. It just doesn't seem okay to me.
So I don't know the circumstances of your family, but say a close family member to you was murdered,
Mm-hmm.
raped and murdered.
Right.
So would you want that person to like continue living? Like, what if that was their thing?
Well, here's the thing. Let me explain it to you. Personally, me, I'll be really upset, and if it was up to me in the moment, I very well may do the thing I'm rallying against right now. I might kill the person if they hurt my family in some way. In that situation, it could happen. But here's the difference. That's just me. I'm just some guy. I'm not a governing body. Okay. I'm not the state. The state shouldn't have that power. Now, if I do it in that moment, that might be human nature. Okay. But the government is supposed to be above that sort of thing, that rash, reactionary type of action. And I don't think it's the right way to go about it. Just because I'm upset because it's connected to me doesn't make it the right thing to do. The right thing to do, I think, is to try our utmost to rehabilitate everyone, to fix all people. Because me killing another person because they killed someone close to me doesn't fix anything. It fixes nothing.
Right.
It's not going to stop the next guy who's crazy who wants to kill somebody from doing it. They're still going to do it. Just do it.
So, I guess in my opinion, if a close family member of me was raped and murdered, then I wouldn't. Cause it's almost like a privilege to live, because there are a lot of options that you.
It's not a privilege to live. Come on, man.
It kind of is. I mean, there are lots of different things that could potentially kill you.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it a privilege. Privilege is something that's given to you. Okay.
So what would you say life is?
What do you mean? You asking me for the?
What would you say, like a privilege, a right, it's kind of there?
Yeah, it just is. It just is.
Right.
Right.
So you don't believe that, everyone has the right to life, liberty, and
absolutely no. I think we have unlimited rights.
Right.
But I think, and that includes the right to do things that other people don't like or want or find completely abhorrent. And if you do those things, then may you face the consequences of the people that you do those things to. But I don't think.
What if those people that you did those things to think that you should be put to death?
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't want that. We don't need that third party involved.
So who do you think that should determine a sentence of a person that has committed a capital offense?
Well, see, that's another. I don't believe there shouldn't be such a thing as a capital offense in the first place. Certain things we put you to death for, other things we don't. Who decides? Who decides?
Well, I think robbing a convenience store for a candy bar and raping and murdering a 4-year-old completely different.
You're right. You're right. They are completely different.
So you can't put those two wildly different things in the same category. They have to be different.
Well, yes, they have to be different, but do they have to be so different that one ends in death? In death. Death is final. It's a finality. You can't come back from that. So, I don't know. I just don't trust my government enough to make those decisions. I don't know. They're pretty incompetent, if you ask me.
Right.
And I just don't. I don't like the idea of it. No thanks. If somebody were to kill someone in my family, I'd be really devastated, obviously. And it wouldn't, I'd probably never get over it. But I can guarantee you this, and it's not just me saying something to try and prove my point. This is an honest fact. If it came down to me and they asked me, should he be charged with the death penalty, I would say no. And I know that might be hard for people to believe, but it's the truth. I would say no. I just don't believe in it. Because you don't know what's going on with that person that caused them to do that.
Right.
People, I don't think, are inherent. People have, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, human nature is all about self-preservation first, in reality. What anybody wants to tell you, that's the truth. Self-preservation comes before anything else. At least that's what I think. And then anything that deviates from that, where somebody is, there's obviously something wrong with you if it's your want to kill people. If you really go out of your way, like it makes you, something in you is not correct. That's not human nature to want to kill other humans for no reason or even for a reason. I don't think that comes naturally to human beings. Now, to kill for personal gain or for a reason, absolutely. I think that's 100% a part of us. But the people who commit murders, who are just insane people, there's something wrong with them, serial killers, uh, you know, child abusers and murderers, people of that type, I don't think they just wake up one day and go, that's really what I want to do with myself. No, there's something wrong. Something's haywire in their brain. And I don't think because something went wrong with them and then they did this terrible thing, which everyone knows and agrees that it's an awful thing that they did, I still don't think that they deserve to die over it. Because I think that person can be helped. I really do. I think they can.
So who would help them?
Well, you need medical people. You need psychiatric or psychological help. People need to be.
Those people that have psychological help degrees or whatever, that is like recognized by the government. But you said you didn't trust the government, so how would that be regulated?
How is it organized by the government? What are you talking about?
It's like when it's not like one college go, oh yeah, this is it. There has to be a level that the government sets, saying, hey, all right, he got his government, he got his doctorate degree. It's not just like that school determines it. It's the government. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't. What do you mean?
It's the government kind of tells you, and the people with the media, what is important. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So, being a psychologist, wouldn't the government tell you, like, how to do your job?
No.
Why not?
Because that's not how it works. Do you know how to become a psychologist or psychologist?
But aren't there regulations for being a psychologist? Saying, like, hey, you can't...
You have to have a degree, but you go to school and you work, and then the teachers at that school give you grades, and they decide whether or not you are worthy of that degree. And then,
but who makes it so that that school is worthy enough to give worthy degrees?
The people who donate the money to the school.
What if it's a government-funded school?
There are none. They don't exist.
There are state-run schools, yes.
State-run, but who funds the state?
Taxpayers.
Me, yeah, right. So it's not. They're not. You're not.
They're not completely independent of the government, though.
Okay, nothing is, because they won't allow us to be. It doesn't. No such thing is completely independent of the government anymore. There is no such thing. So my point is you could become your own psychiatrist or psychologist, go into practice on your own, and nobody's telling you how or what to do what you're doing. Right?
Right, I suppose.
Okay.
So I guess in this scenario that if you had a little sister that was 4 years old,
right,
she was raped and murdered, you would rather have that person sit in jail?
I'd rather have them be in a mental institution and try and be rehabilitated.
What if they don't need help?
What do you mean?
Because not everyone that commits those kinds of crimes are crazy.
Yeah, they are. Yes, they are.
What do you define as crazy?
That behavior is crazy. As soon as you exhibit that behavior, there's obviously something wrong with you. You're not normal. Your brain is not functioning normally. Can we agree on that?
To an extent, it's not like everyone that has a mental issue is going to go out and commit rape and murder.
Right, but there's different varying degrees of mental issues. I have my own I have a panic attack disorder. I have anxiety. That's a mental issue. Now, it doesn't cause me to, fly off the handle and do completely insane, terrible things. But to me, it's in the same vein as people who it does cause that to, because they can't control it. It's not of my own doing. You understand what I'm saying? I don't decide when I get to have a panic attack. It just happens. But I went to a doctor and they gave me Xanax. And if I have a panic attack, I take my pill and I feel better, and that's it. Now, it's not going to be that simple with somebody who's completely nuts and they have, the urge to kill other people. It won't be as easy to cure that person, to fix that person. But that doesn't mean it can't be done. People can be rehabilitated. The brain is a very powerful thing.
Right. And I guess what the jail is, not all jails are like this. Obviously, not all jails are the same. But kind of the purpose of a jail, whether you believe it or not, is to get people back out and to learn from their time in jail, which is punishment.
Yes, that's
that
that's
it was wrong.
theory. Yeah, that's the theory, but it doesn't.
Whether they make money off it or not is just human nature wanting to be capitalists.
Well, it's not human nature.
It's not human nature to make money.
No,
it's not
money.
It's not human nature to want something.
Power,
in money.
Human nature, I guess. Listen,
is it not human nature to want money?
Well, human nature, I think, happened a long time before money ever existed. And
True, but there was always a thing that was considered as money.
No, there.
Oh, he has.
No,
yes, there was. Oh, he has a sterling rock. I have bread. His sterling rock is worth more than my bread.
There was not always a thing considered to be money. In fact, that's very new.
There was a bartering system.
Bartering, right? Goods for goods.
But that's still a want of something that's worth something.
Money, right? Money isn't worth anything. It's only worth what we decide it is. So it's make believe, really.
Since the 70s, yes.
What?
Since the 70s, yes.
No, since always. Gold is not worth anything. It's worthless. In reality.
To an extent. To the mid 1970s, money was based off the gold.
Yeah, I know.
Standard.
But even
so it's not worth it because.
But what can you do with gold? Before electronics, what can you do with gold? Back in the day when gold was a big deal, 1600s, gold was the most important thing you could have. What could you do with it? Nothing.
Well, it wouldn't be gold would be the most important of it. It would have been salt.
No.
So the preservation of food to keep people living is not important.
That's not what I'm saying.
But you're saying, well, yeah, you said that
gold was the most valuable thing to people of that time.
Yes, because why?
For no reason. Because it was shiny, and they could make jewelry out of it.
Because if no, I mean, you're kind of laughing. You're not really hearing my point out.
Well, you're not making a point. It's not worth anything. What could you do with gold back then?
Gold became the standard of money because it was rare enough to be worth something, but it was easily accessible enough not for everyone to have it. But if each grain of sand was like a nickel, then everyone would be rich. That's why sand isn't like that.
But my point,
gold is based off of money.
Gold,
silver.
Gold on its own accord is worthless at that time. You can do nothing with it except make pretty objects out of it. It doesn't do anything valuable to human life. You understand what I'm saying? It's not a good on its own accord. You can't eat gold. You can't build a house with it. You can't start a fire with it. It's worthless. It's nothing. But we just decided it was worth something. So then everybody bought into the system.
So you believe that the government is out to get everybody?
No, I believe that the government is kind of mostly incompetent, and I think it's controlled by a much more powerful group of people, much smaller, more powerful group that's way above the government.
So you sound like a libertarian.
Yeah, I would say partially libertarian. I mean, I don't really fall into any political. I don't play the politic game because it never works.
So you would disagree with the philosopher that said that all people are born inherently evil, and that they can only be contained by a government?
Oh, well, no, I don't think it's evil. I think it could be seen as evil. I think it's really just self-preservation. And that can come off as evil if you're throwing other people under the bus to save yourself. That looks pretty bad. That can be considered evil, but I don't think it is. I think it's just human nature to always try to make yourself survive no matter what.
All right.
That's what
Well, it was fun debating with you.
All right, man.
Have a good day.
Yep.